the club, learning zone. You get the education for all. Gyanwani, Gyanwani, education at your doorstep. It's only on Gyanwani.
I am Dr. Seena Paul, Associate Professor from Shri M.D. Shah Mahila College of Arts and Commerce, Malad. The next topic, what we will be covering now, is industrial sickness and remedial measures. Sickness among industrial units are common and is uniformly found in public, private and small-scale sector. In March 2008, the total number of sick and weak units stood at 118,124, out of which 3,992 was large and medium units and the remaining was small-scale units. The outstanding bank credit of these sick units stood at 30,333 crore. Even though number of sick units are more in the small-scale sector, but when it comes to outstanding bank credit, the share of SSI units is only marginal. At the end of March 2008, out of the total bank outstanding of sick units, the share of SSI units was only 8.7%. Even though sickness is common among the industrial units, yet sickness on a large scale concern the entire industrial structure and, in fact, the whole economy. In the ensuing unit, we would try to understand the definition of sick unit, along with the causes of industrial sickness and the measures that have been adopted by the government and other agencies to remedy industrial sickness. Let's see what we mean by, let's define a sick unit. Before the enactment of the Sick Industrial Companies Act 1985, there was no unanimity regarding the definition of industrial sickness. Different financial institutions had defined industrial sickness differently. For instance, as far as the Reserve Bank of India, a sick unit is that which has incurred a cash loss for 1 year, and in judgment of the bank, it is likely to continue incurring cash losses for the current year as well, and in the following year, and the unit has a imbalance in the financial structure, such as the current ratio is less than 1:1 and there's worsening of trend in debt equity ratio. That is a total outside liability to the net worth. Another definition of sick industrial unit as per as the lending institution was as follows. A unit is classified as sick by a term lending institution after taking into account any of the following symptoms: continuous defaults in meeting 4 consecutive half-year installment of interest or principal in respect of institutional loans, continuous cash loss for a period of 2 years, or continuous erosion in the net worth, say by 50%, mounting areas on account of statutory and other liabilities for a period of half a year. However, after the enactment of Sick Industrial Company Act 1985, the issue was settled. According to the Act, a sick unit was defined as an industrial company which has, at the end of any financial year, accumulated loss equal to or exceeding its entire net worth, or also suffered a cash loss in such financial year and the financial year immediately preceding such financial year. Initially, public sector companies were not covered by the Act. Later, in December 1991, public sector companies were also covered by the Act. The sickness criterion of the Act was diluted by the 1992 amendment of the Act. As per the amendment, firm only needed to be registered for 5 years and the criterion of cash loss for 2 successive years was eliminated. Act also defined sick industrial unit in the small sector. According to the Act, a unit can be declared as a sick industrial unit in the small scale sector if it has A. incurred a cash loss in the previous accounting year and was likely to continue with the losses in the current accounting year, and erosion on account of cumulative cash loss to the extent of 50% or more of its peak net worth during the last 5 years, continuously defaulted in meeting 4 consecutive installment of interest or 2 half-yearly installment of principal on term loan, and there were persistent irregularities in the operation of its credit limit with the bank. In case of larger small-scale units, both the condition A and B has to be satisfied, whereas in the case of tiny and decentralized sector, units earlier of one of the alternative need to be satisfied. The definition of industrial sick unit underwent a change with the enactment of Companies Act 2002. As per as this Act, sick industrial company means an industrial company which has accumulated losses in any financial year which are equal to 50% or more of its average net worth during 4 years immediately preceding such financial year, or fail to repay its debt with any 3 consecutive quarters on demand made in writing for its repayment by the creditor or creditors of such company. Thus, as per as the new definition of sick industrial unit given by Companies Act 2002, earlier requirement of 5-year existence has been dropped. Causes of industrial sickness. Sickness of an industrial unit can either be caused by internal and external factor. Internal factors are due to internal problems in the production function, marketing function, finance function, personal function of the unit, whereas external problems arise due to changes in the general situation, government policies and legislation relating to production, distribution and price, in the planned priority, international situation, etc. The external factors are beyond the control of the unit, whereas the internal factors to a great extent are controllable provided the corporate management is effective. What are the internal causes? Internal causes are A. Management function. The most important internal factor which causes industrial sickness is poor quality of management. The management function depends upon 2 variables, that is efficiency and integrity, and deficiency in any of these variables lead to industrial sickness. In the area of the management, factors which industrial cause are lack of coordination and control within the management, resistance to change by the management, feud and conflicts in top management, and lack of integrity in top management. Personal function, inappropriate wage and salary administration, bad labor relation, lack of behavioral approach, absence of manpower planning are the causes under the personal function which lead to industrial sickness. Finance function, inappropriate financial structure, inefficient working capital management, faulty costing and pricing, absence of financial planning, improper utilization of a fund are causes under finance function which cause industrial sickness. Production function, wrong selection of plant site, unsuitable plant and machinery, insufficient material control, inadequate maintenance of machinery, lack or poor quality control, poor research and development are causes under production function which cause industrial sickness. Marketing function, inaccurate demand forecasting, poor product mix, absence of product planning, reliance on few buyers, poor market research, poor marketing strategy are causes under marketing function which cause industrial sickness. Now let's see what are the external causes. Finance function. External factors which has a dampening effect on the critical element of the finance function are credit restraint, delay in disbursement of loan, unfavorable investment climate, fear of nationalization, etc. Production function. Under production function, the external factors which cause industrial sickness are shortage of input, infrastructure problem, import restraint or essential input, etc. Marketing function, excessive liberal licensing in a particular industry, restraint on purchase by bulk purchases, changes in international marketing scene, high taxation policy of government, market recession are the external causes which would constrain on the marketing function of an industrial unit and put the unit under crisis. Personal function, shortage of manpower, wage disparity in similar industry, labor unrest in the area, inter-union rivalry are the external factors that adversely affect the personal function of an industrial unit. Consequences of industrial sickness. Industrial sickness has serious repercussion in the economy. In the following paragraph, the consequence of sickness on the various aspects of the economy is covered. Unemployment. India is a labor surplus economy and the opportunity of employment are limited, and this has created the problem of unemployment. In these circumstances, the closure of unit can further aggravate the unemployment problem in economy. Labor unrest. Closure of a sick unit leads to retrenchment of workers. This is opposed by trade unions causing widespread labor unrest. Affects industrial production. The closure of units results to stoppage of production in the affected units, which leads to decline in production of the industry as a whole. Loss of revenue to the government. Government earns a large chunk of their revenue through imposition of taxes on the industrial units. The closure of units results in loss of revenue to the government. losses to the banks and financial institution. Another consequence of the closure of unit is it results in blocking of funds of banks and financial institution. Banks and financial institutions have financed the SIC units to set up their plant and machinery and commence production. In the event of the closure of the unit, the funds which bank and financial institution have lent to these units get blocked. This hampers future lending capacity of these institutions. At the end of March 2008, a total of 32,283 crore was bank credit outstanding against the large and medium SIC industrial unit, while the amount of bank credit outstanding against the small scale SIC reached rupees 3,083 crore. Adverse impact on prospective entrepreneurs and investors. The closure of a large number of SIC units generally affects the psychology of investors. They may feel demoralized to invest, and this hampers industrial development of the economy. The next point we cover is remedial measure. As seen in the consequence of industrial sickness, that industrial sickness hurts economy badly. Accordingly, various agencies have offered various schemes for the rehabilitation of SIC unit. In the paragraph below, the different schemes offered by have been deliberated. Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction. BIFR was set up in January 1987 in reference to SIC Industrial Companies Act 1985. BIFR was set up A. to secure timely detection of SIC and potential SIC company, B. determined by a group of experts of the various measures to be taken in respect of a SIC company, C. expeditious enforcement of such measures. Initially, under the review of the Act, only private sector companies were covered. Later, in December 1991, through the amendment of SIC Industrial Company Act 1985, public sector companies were also brought under the purview of BIFR. A unit is referred to BIFR under Section 15 and 23 of the SIC Industrial Company Act 1985 if the following conditions are satisfied. Accumulated losses of the company to be equal to or more than its net worth, that is, a paid-up capital plus its free reserves. The company should have completed 5 years after incorporation under the Companies Act 1956. It should have 50 or more workers on any day of the 12 months preceding the end of the financial year, with reference to which sickness is claimed, should have a factory license. On receipt of the reference, BIFR, through an operating agency, will conduct an inquiry and ascertain whether the company is indeed SIC. On the basis of such an inquiry, if BIFR is convinced that the unit is SIC, then either it will give an opportunity for the unit to make its net worth positive, or will appoint an operative agency consisting of certain banks and financial institutions to prepare a package for the revival of SIC unit, or it will initiate proceedings in the High Court for the winding of the company. The package offered for the revival of the operating agency could consist of any of the following measures: restructuring the capital base of the company, strengthening the capital base of the company, option of mergers and amalgamation, providing soft loan to the company, modernization and technological changes, change in management, writing up of interest burden, rescheduling the loan structure, tax rebate, tax exemption, tax relief. Up to the end of 2007, BIFR had registered 5,471 references, out of which 1,337 were recommended for winding up. 825 revival schemes were being sanctioned. There were 66 SIC public sector units registered with the board as on end of March 2008, of which the government had approved 34 for revival. Some of the success stories of BIFR interventions are Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Arvind Mill, Scooters India, Northeastern Regional Agriculture Marketing Corporation. Along with the successes, there are cases where attempts to revive the company by BIFR has failed. For example, Binny and Company Cooperative, Calico Mill, Gasoline Williams, Hindustan Cables, Metal Box Company, and Wyman Gordon. The working of BIFR has all been subject of criticism on account of the delay in the BIFR process and the quasi-judicial nature of the BIFR proceeding. Reserve Bank of India and the step to detect sickness early. In respect of companies which do not come under the purview of SIC Industrial Companies Act 1985, Reserve Bank of India has advised banks to take necessary steps at the stage of 50% of the erosion of the net worth. The central bank is closely monitoring certain industries which are more prone to industrial sickness. Industrial Investment Bank of India. To revive and rehabilitate SIC industries, Industrial Reconstruction Corporation of India was established with a paid-up of capital of 25 crore, and the share capital was subscribed by IBBI, IFCI, ICCI, LIC, SBI, and other commercial bank. Also, the corporation received 10 crore interest-free loan from the government. Initially, the corporation was established as a company under the Companies Act 1956. Later on, it was converted into a statutory corporation and was renamed as Industrial Reconstruction Bank of India. In 1997, it was reconstituted into a full-fledged all-purpose development financial institution, and it was renamed as Industrial Investment Bank of India. In 2005, government considered the merger of three financial institutions, IDBI, IIBI, and IFCI. But on account of the refusal of the IDBI, government dropped the merger plan. In 2006 and 7, it was decided to close the bank. As of 2011, the bank is operating from its sole operating office in Calcutta. Deloitte & Touche has been appointed to dispose of IIB's non-performing assets. Fiscal concession. The government has offered certain concession to revive the SIC units, which include a tax benefit to healthy units when they merge with the SIC unit with an intention to revive the SIC unit. Scheme to provide margin money to the SIC units SSI sector was introduced so that the SIC units can avail required fund from the banks and financial institutions to implement the revival scheme. A new scheme was introduced under the scheme. A SIC unit was eligible for excise loan not exceeding 50% of the excise duty actually paid for 5 years. Steps taken by financial institution and commercial bank. Various financial institutions and commercial banks have offered different schemes for the revival of the SIC unit. In the below paragraph, those schemes have been mentioned. Soft loan scheme of modernization of SIDBI. This scheme was introduced in 1977 for providing assistance to all the industries to undertake modernization and renovation, replacement of equipment. Under this scheme, assistance is available to SIC units for financing modernization aimed at upgradation of technology and product, export orientation, import substitution, improvement in capacity utilization, improvement in material handling, anti-pollution measures, conservation of raw material and other inputs. The scheme is available for those units which are in operation for at least 10 years. The interest is charged at a concessional rate under the scheme. Textile Modernization Scheme of IDBI. Textile Modernization Fund provides financial assistance at a concessional rate and also attends to some special problems of weak but viable unit. The scheme is in operation with effect from 1st August 1986. Under the scheme, two types of loans are provided at a concessional rate of interest. Modernization loan. Under this type of loan, promoter's contribution is minimum 20% of the cost of the scheme. Special loans are granted to weak but viable units towards part of the promoter's contribution. Amount of loan is decided on a case-to-case basis depending upon expected cash accruals. Schemes of commercial bank. Commercial bank, after identifying a SIC company, undertake project appraisal. If the project is found viable, rehabilitation scheme is prepared. The concession offered are grant of additional working capital facilities to overcome the shortage of working capital faced by such unit, recovery of interest at a reduced rate, suitable moratorium on payment of interest, freezing a portion of the outstanding in the account. Thank you.